In a world that celebrates perfect love stories, we often forget that even the brightest romances are tested by time. And for nearly 3 decades, Hollywood has looked to Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos as one of its greatest examples. A couple who seemed to have it all: love, laughter, a bond that felt unshakable. But behind the smiles, the shared jokes, and the picture perfect moments, even they faced storms they never expected. What began as a fairy tale became a story about endurance, honesty, and the courage to fight for love when the world expected it to fall apart. Their journey began like something out of a movie, because in many ways, it was. It was the mid-1990s on the set of All My Children when Kelly and Mark first met. Two young actors, full of energy, passion, and dreams. The chemistry was undeniable. On screen, they played lovers. Off screen, they became one. In 1996, they shocked everyone with a secret wedding in Las Vegas. Quiet, simple, and deeply personal. There were no flashing lights, no press coverage, no extravagant ceremony. Just two people, madly in love, saying yes to forever. For years after that, they became Hollywood's favorite love story. Kelly, the charismatic talk show host whose humor and heart lit up every screen. Mark, the charming actor with a smile that matched hers. Together, they raised 3 beautiful children, built thriving careers, and stood as proof that true love could survive the spotlight. Fans adored them. The laughter they shared on Live with Kelly and Mark, the way they spoke about each other, and the undeniable spark that never seemed to fade. To millions, they were a living fairy tale, the couple who had found the secret to lasting happiness. But every story has chapters the public never sees. As the years passed, life, as it often does, began to change them. Kelly's schedule grew relentless. The demands of live television required energy, attention, and constant public presence. Mark, too, was pulled in different directions by acting roles and production commitments that took him away from home. Between the rehearsals, the travel, the interviews, and the expectations, something subtle began to shift. What once felt effortless began to take work. What once was spontaneous laughter sometimes turned into quiet exhaustion. Friends close to the couple noticed the strain. Small disagreements that once would have ended in laughter began lasting longer. Moments of silence replaced playful teasing. It wasn't anger, it was distance. The kind of quiet drift that sneaks in when two people love each other deeply, but live inside worlds spinning too fast. One night, away from the cameras and applause, the truth broke through the silence. Mark sat down and cried, something he rarely did. He told Kelly that he was tired. Tired of trying to be perfect, the perfect husband, the perfect father, the perfect man in the public eye. He admitted that sometimes he felt lost, invisible even, behind the roles they both had to play. Kelly listened, and then confessed something too. She too felt the strain, the pressure, the fear that despite all the love they shared, they were quietly drifting apart. That night was not one of anger or accusations. It was one of tears, honesty, and love. A desperate, aching love that refused to give up without a fight. But even after that talk, the fear of divorce loomed closer than ever. When whispers of their troubles reached the public, the reaction was instant. Headlines filled with speculation, social media exploded with disbelief. For many, Kelly and Mark represented hope, the rare couple that had survived Hollywood's chaos. To imagine them breaking apart felt impossible. Some tabloids painted the picture of fiery fights and looming separation. Others claimed the couple was already preparing to split. Suddenly, their private pain
But in the
became
midst
a
of the
public
chaos,
debate. Something remarkable happened. Instead of retreating from each other, they turned toward each other. Instead of silence, they chose honesty. They went to therapy. They began having the conversations that once felt too heavy to face. Kelly would later say, "It was the hardest conversation we ever had, but it was also the most important. Before we could face our future, we had to face our fears." Through late night talks and quiet dinners, they started to rediscover what had once come so naturally: laughter, compassion, friendship. They remembered the spark that started it all, the laughter from their All My Children days, the private jokes, and the moments when the world seemed to disappear and it was just them. They learned something profound, that marriage isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about choosing each other, even when love feels hard. It's about looking at someone and saying, "I see you, flaws and all, and I'm staying." Fans braced themselves for an official statement, expecting an announcement of separation. But what came instead was something unexpected. In a heartfelt public message, both Kelly and Mark spoke directly from the heart. Yes, they had faced struggles. Yes, they had considered divorce. But no, they were not giving up. Mark's voice trembled as he said, "We're not perfect, but our love is worth the struggle. If you think love is supposed to be easy, you're doing it wrong. It's the hard parts that make it real." Kelly added softly, "Our marriage has faced storms, but the love we share is stronger than any rumor or headline. We choose each other, today and every day after." It was raw, honest, vulnerable. And in that moment, the world saw not Hollywood stars, but two people fighting to save what mattered most. Their story became more than just a celebrity headline. It became a reminder that even the most beautiful relationships require work, humility, and forgiveness, that love isn't sustained by grand gestures, but by quiet choices made again and again. Fans, once heartbroken, began to see the deeper truth. Messages poured in, not of disappointment, but of admiration. People saw themselves in Kelly and Mark's struggle. Couples who had faced their own storms found comfort in knowing that even the strongest bonds can bend, but not break. Kelly and Mark's journey reminded everyone that real love isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. It's not about never fighting, but about learning to forgive, to communicate, and to grow together. Behind the glitz and glamour, they were just two people trying to make it work, holding hands through both laughter and tears. And maybe that's what makes their story so powerful. They didn't hide behind polished smiles or scripted statements. They let the world see the cracks, and in doing so, showed that love, when nurtured, can heal stronger than before. As time passed, the couple found their rhythm again. They began prioritizing each other, protecting their private life, and making time for the simple joys that fame had once overshadowed. They laughed more, traveled more, spent long evenings together without cameras, just talking like they used to. In one interview, Kelly said quietly, "Marriage isn't a constant honeymoon. It's seasons. Some are beautiful, others are difficult. But the trick is remembering why you fell in love and choosing that person all over again." Today, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos remain together, not because they've avoided pain, but because they've faced it head on. Their love story isn't about perfection anymore. It's about perseverance. And in a world where relationships often crumble under pressure, theirs has become a symbol of resilience. They've taught millions that sometimes the most romantic thing you can do is stay. To look at the person beside you, even when things feel uncertain, and whisper, "I'm not leaving. We'll figure it out together." Because that's what love truly is. Not flawless, not easy, but real. And as Kelly once said, if your love can survive the storms, the sunshine afterward feels even warmer. So their story isn't ending. It's evolving, shaped by honesty, strengthened by vulnerability, and defined by choice. A choice to love even when it's hard. A choice to stay even when walking away might seem easier. Kelly and Mark's journey reminds us all that true love doesn't fade when tested. It deepens. It bends, but it never breaks. Not when both hearts are willing to fight for it. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all, that the real magic of love isn't in how it begins, but in how it endures, through laughter, through pain, through everything that makes life beautifully human. Because at the end of the day, love, true love, isn't a perfect story. It's a promise. And that's exactly what Kelly Ripo and Mark Consuelos have chosen to keep.